hard to stay focused in the midst of the insanity that's going on.
Getting pulled into the illusion by the news.
Oh my goodness. It's just so amazing.
I, again, I'm sorry I can't participate. I have no idea what's going on in this.
Well, you're lucky.
You're in the best place, believe me.
It's absolutely, other than my work emailed me and said, hey, Metro might be on strike, so just to let you know. And then that I found out, I was like, oh, okay, Metro is maybe going on strike.
Yeah.
That's the only news really that I've been.
Yeah. Well, you don't want to go into it for your own peace of mind. It's pretty darn disturbing.
But again, there has to be.
Yeah. No, I know it's the movie. But I don't know.
Anytime you're disturbed by news, you just remember, Master said it's all illusion.
Yeah.
So mantra through it. It's all illusion. You're the formlessness. So therefore, any form thing cannot be part of you. So it's illusion and discard it. It's so easy. Unless you enjoy playing with trying to pretend like you're real and the world is real and all this stuff actually matters.
Yeah.
That's hard though. I mean, if you do mantra, it's really, really, really hard to believe in the form world as anything other than a dream. And I wouldn't care if they were burning the cities. Okay, and so it has nothing to do with your formless self.
Yeah, but it does have something to do with your physical self.
But your physical self is not you, and all the selves are physical selves. So if you're speaking about like things going on in the news, it's a puppet show and you're the puppeteer.
No.
That's it. I mean, I don't know. I can't even begin to try and put myself as someone in something in a world that's happening and actually taking the touch and being worried or concerned or bothering my mind about things that are not in my experience. I mean, to me, it's like a total, complete waste of the effort when I could be doing mantra and immediately it just clicks. If I keep doing mantra and remaining with my selfless self, it's going to click, spontaneous conviction. And then it won't matter. So if it won't matter, and I know it doesn't matter because Master says the world is illusion, then why am I, it's very disturbing and I get very involved in it. But that's just nonsense.
Mm.
It's really nonsense. If you enjoy it, that's fine. If you enjoy being disturbed, then you go out and you have friends and they're very disturbed and you all talk about how disturbed you are. And that's your spiritual entertainment until this body, until you leave the body. You're more than happy to be completely and totally disturbed all the time and surround yourself with disturbed people who are also believing that they're disturbed because you share a common disturbance rather than sharing the commonality that it's all selfless self.
Yeah. Well,
but again,
you have to limit your associations because, if you're
not true. Just because other people believe that they're actually people in a world with personalities doesn't make any difference to you, the selfless self, at all. Once you know yourself in a real sense, it's just like the dream. The dream people may be saying, oh my God, Mars, there are Martians attacking and they're coming to Earth and they're going to kill everybody and put them in concentration camps and it's so horrible. But as you, the dreamer, know it's just a dream, you're not going to take the touch and participate as if it's a real thing. And the same thing, when you know yourself in a real sense, there's not enough of you to form an opinion about any of these things. Spontaneously, there will be speaking and listening. And whether other forms understand this or not really doesn't matter because you know yourself. I think Nisargadatta Maharaj says, because it's not because I know this, it's because I know myself that I know you are not, that there is nothing. And all of this is just an illusion, it's just an entertainment. Personally, myself, I would rather be entertained with the bliss of my selfless self continuously, unbroken. I would rather, even if I wasn't in this, whatever you want to call it, I'd wake up every morning if I was trying to return to my true nature. I would hold on to that feeling of presence and remaining with my selfless self and not change it out throughout the day. Or I'd sit there, maybe even I'd mentally say, how long is it that I can remain with just my selfless self in this absolute state of bliss without a thought coming, without me thinking about anything out there? How long can I do it? And then I try to exercise that, remaining with my selfless self. And again, because you are everything, you'll start to create in these experiences, the heat will be turned up, so it'll be harder and harder to remain with your selfless self, but you'll have courage. Spontaneous courage will be projected in the moment as needed, and you'll move through. And then there's no you, there's no he, she, it, nothing is there. And anybody can stand up on the TV and say, this year I'm going to raise taxes until nobody can buy food. Everyone's going to be starved. And you'll be like, yeah, okay, well, we'll see what happens when it happens.
I don't know. It's a real stretch.
Only because you're not having faith in the master and you don't have any faith in yourself whatsoever. And it's a game. It seems to be not a seriousness. The seriousness has to come. The earnestness has to come. Not a part-time thing. I was thinking about how blessed India was for my own journey in that food poisoning that totally, completely knocked me off the map. And yet I remained with selfless self. I followed master's instruction. I remained with selfless self, mantra through every experience. And my selfless self sees this. Wow, this dedication, this devotion, whether this body falls or not, this continuous mantra I must know. And even after having taken off the Rudraksh beads, because there was a time, a brief moment, where I could have been a sideline chatter, saying, yeah, mantra is good and all this. It could have been in that brief moment when the food poisoning happened and I recognized the fact that I had just taken off the Rudraksh beads, had my beard shaved and all that. And there was a mind thing that said, you've offended the selfless self. This presence that you were feeling, these beads, just like the guy in the store said, it's amplifying the presence. You took it off. You need to put those beads back on right now because you're no longer protected. And I asked Maharaj, and I told him, I said, if I put those beads back on, it's game over because I'll always have the false concept that these beads were needed. And when they were taken off, that's when the food poisoning came. And he absolutely said, these are concepts, the pressure of concepts. The pressure will come more and more and more. You remain as you are. Understand that Master is speaking from the reality, not some hopeful dream of what's going to happen. So anything that's not the reality is the false. And if you're feeding the false, then enjoy the false flames, which don't provide heat. This is the absolute truth. Week after week, we talk about what the news is doing. And I say, again, I have no idea. And even if I did read the news, it wouldn't bother me in the least bit. I wouldn't even remember what I read 20 minutes ago. Because I'm there and I'm out. I'm there and I'm out. I'm there and I'm out. And it doesn't matter. And it shouldn't matter. Any time that there's a disturbance, don't play the disturber. Run mantra. Listen to mantra. It's obvious there's an I am somebody else because you've created this false disturbance person. So use mantra to mantra through this experience of I am. You are not I am. You are nothing. You're in the appearance as something. And in the appearance, it really doesn't matter. World War III happens and the stock market crashes and armies are coming and killing and destroying and they start opening camps and shooting people. And it's disaster, but it has nothing to do with you.
Except you still got to feed the food body.
But who cares whether the food body's here or not? Find that you are.
Yeah.
Enjoy while you're here, and when you're not, you're not. And that's it. But you know that you're continuous, and you're always, because you use this food body right now, using this instrument, I know my selfless self. This is myself. There is no doubt about that at all. That's where it has to be. Spontaneous conviction. And if this is everything, like we talked about before, the space in this kitchen doesn't care if you're cooking for a large family, or if rats are running and eating all your food. The space is not affected. Violence can occur inside the space and nothing happens to the space. Happiness can occur inside a space and nothing happens to the space. You are the attributeless, formless. If at all you want to compare yourself like sky or space. Invisible, anonymous, unidentified identity, that you are. Where in that is there any political stuff? Where in that is there fear? How do you acquire ideas, beliefs, and concepts if you are not a body and you don't use a mind? And that's it. It's so easy. Just forget about, you're not Kathleen.
Yeah.
If Kathleen's body dropped right now, you are. And there's no memory of Kathleen. Kathleen's gone, because she never was.
Right.
You never were Kathleen.
I know.
There was a lump of goo created from the 5 elements that went on a timeline because it was born in time, not you being born, but the body was born in time, and you identified with that body. But it wasn't true. You're the space all surrounding the body, and when the body falls, the space is still there. It had nothing to do. It doesn't matter that Kathleen is no more because she never was. It's always you, only you. And I'll say the same about this body too. I'm not just trying to single out Kathleen and say it doesn't matter if Kathleen's here or not. Forget about you. No, I'm saying me too. This body, John never was. John's entire life was just like a dream. It's a character that was created by the 5 elements, and this 5 elemental body is affected by the 5 elements. There's a mind that sits there and tries to interpret how the 5 elemental body is compared to this thing that I think I am. And that sense of presence, I believe, is in this body as myself. This is not true. And this body, labeled John, that I believed I was, prior to being this, you are. After leaving the body, you are. Use this body, labeled John and Kathleen and Trish and Monahar and Keith. Use this body that has the label to know yourself in a real sense as the space and sky, where this body is appearing in this space and sky, but is not any part of this space and sky. And know yourself now, right now. When you know yourself as that formlessness, the knower of that formless sense of presence, then the form world is no more. It's still there because you're seeing it, and the elements are still doing their thing. And the gunas and all the stuff, once you believe you're a body, all the concepts will come in, and that'll be the knowledge. But the knowledge is just to know yourself in a real sense, and then everything can come and go. Anything can do whatever it feels like doing because it's not doing anything. Just like the dreamer, anything can happen in your dream. And you're not taking the touch. You're not becoming all so depressed and, you know, you wake up and want to kill yourself. I've never heard of anybody who's like woken up from the dream and then said, oh, I have to kill myself right now. It's just so terrible, this world. And yet in the waking state, which is just the same as the dream state, because you're using the same consciousness to create a manifestation that you're believing in, it's the same.
This knowing yourself in a real sense it appears to me that that's within the spectrum of everything that I sense. And like I was noticing recently that there's not really true opposites. I mean, things can be defined as opposites, but they're actually within this broad spectrum of manifestation or sense, the ability to sense things.
Only when you have a body. again, forget about this body.
But this know yourself in the real sense, is that for the body or is that for the self?
You're using body as an instrument to kind of measure. You feel a sense of presence. I'm sure you do. If you've been doing mantra for any length of time, you should be able to rest in that sense of presence. If you can rest in the sense of presence, then you are the knower of that sense of presence. The sense of presence is the perfume, so to speak, arising from your invisible, anonymous, unidentified identity that you are. And it's been labeled God, Brahman, Atman, Paramatman, the presence of God, Holy Spirit, whatever you want to label it is fine. But this sense of presence that you are the knower of is arising to allow you to know and identify yourself in a real sense. I'm the knower of this sense of presence. This presence is arising. That I am. Therefore, if I know myself as this, and I can sort of, if I want to, feel it like I'm swimming, then I can't be anything in it. All of this is in me. I can't be an object inside myself.
That's what I mean by the spectrum is everything that stuff is.
I mean, again, it's so simple. Just try to use the most simple, basic terms. You can't be a form inside your formlessness. You can't. You just can't. Even though it is part of you in arising in this formlessness, just again like the dream, everything in the dream is you. Forget about all the concepts of duality and all this.
That's just what I mean, though. I see that I can't be the spectrum because I see the spectrum.
Okay. I mean, again, it's just when you know yourself in a real sense, you can.
It's just a different spectrum is just a different word than what you're using, I think.
That's cool. That's fine. However, which word, all words again came along with the body. Prior to the body, words weren't there. So we're trying to use words in the most basic way and trying to break them down to the absolute minimalistic so that it's just no concepts, as few concepts as possible. That's why Maharaj never uses words like, moksha and kundalini and all this kind of stuff, because it all has to do with the body. The whole idea is you are not a body, you were not a body, you're not going to remain the body. So you're trying to break free of the body knowledge and the conceptual beliefs and the structure of the building blocks of language. Because you're prior to language.
Right.
So you try to break that building block because, see, as soon as we start to use any kind of words, then the mind tries to come in and paint pictures behind the words. The words are like a painting on the painting. Blue, whatever you say blue, and immediately your mind starts to give an image of blue. This is body knowledge. You have learned this in and through this body when you came into a world of a manifest world, thinking that you're a body, and you learned that the color blue is this. And now this mind can instantaneously, conceptually, using body knowledge, say blue is this, and picture it. If I say sky, you can, boom, picture sky. So it's trying to get away from the language, how you were prior to beingness, how you will be after leaving the body. That you are. Formless, invisible, anonymous, unidentified identity that has been labeled Brahman, Atman, Paramatman, God, Master. That sense of presence that you are the knower of, that sense of presence is arising to allow you to know that you are. And even that will go. Because prior to beingness, you didn't know you are, and after leaving the body, you don't know you are. So that's the state. That's the true natural state. The you are has been added on. But in using the manifest world and the body form, the you are is the most subtle level that cannot be perceived, basically.
One thing that seemed to help me recognize it this week, it is, I guess you could call a concept that arises occasionally, is I noticed that when I'm just, anytime, no matter when it is, when I'm doing something, I am free to not be doing that thing. Like if I'm watching TV, if I get a distraction, I'm perfectly free to forget about it and move to whatever situation requires. And I just noticed very strongly this week or a few days ago that for some reason, being aware that I am free of having to be tied into anything that I think has value or identity, that I can change my being is able to change. It's not restricted to any thing that I'm doing or thinking about or anything, because all that will come and go. It does come and go. It just no. It was a way of. It was kind of seemed obvious that I am the freedom rather than the anything that takes place within my perception or my doing, my so-called doing with
Yeah, paying attention to the sense of presence as you're doing the activities. As you're watching television, watch the TV, but pay attention to the sense of presence. Pay attention to that I am. Remain with yourself the self. And then, as you're watching TV, remaining with yourself the self, you might get up and answer the door, but you remain with yourself the self. You might have a conversation with someone that's outside the door, but you remain with your selfless self, and you will see then that this mind and all this formatting and processing is not needed.
Yeah, it's like I'm the freedom or something.
On that.
The selfless self is the freedomer. But would you say that the selfless self has probably not, but it doesn't seem to have a will of its own. It's there. It's something we can be aware of it or something, but it doesn't have. I was trying to figure out why haven't I seen the reality of selfless self in the past? Although it's always been there, I can realize it's always been there, but why haven't I seen it before? It's becoming more apparent that it's.
Well, again, meditation, mantra. Mantra erases the concepts. Right now, there are a lot of concepts, a lot of illusory layers on your selfless self. Just as if you walked outside in the summertime and you had a sweater and a coat and a heavy winter coat and a scarf and gloves, and it's 100 degrees outside, you would be paying attention to all these layers, wishing that they were removed, wanting them removed.
In relation to what I was just saying about the selfless self not having a will, I was reading I Am That on this page, like 325. Nisargadatta says the inner guru is not committed to. Well, let's see. Maybe I have to read the context of what he's saying here, but. Let's see. Is prior to this paragraph, he said the disciples of whose effort is it? The disciples, of course. The outer guru gives the instructions. The inner sends the strength. The alert application is the disciples. Without will, intelligence, and energy on the part of the disciple, the outer guru is helpless. The inner guru bides his time. Obtuseness and wrong pursuits bring about a crisis, and this disciple wakes up to his own plight. Wise is he who does not wait for a shock, which can be quite rude. Then the guy asks, is that a threat? And then Nisargadatta says, not a threat, a warning. The inner guru is not committed to nonviolence. He can be quite violent at times to the point of destroying the obtuse or perverted personality, suffering and death as life and happiness are his tools, it is only in duality that nonviolence becomes some kind of unifying law. And he says that the selfless self inner guru can be violent at times,
But like we talked about, turning up the heat.
And
inner and outer guru, remember, inner and outer guru is only in ignorance. It's only when you believe yourself to be a body and that you're actually talking to the outer guru, who is actually the inner guru, because the guru is your selfless self. But the guru that you're hearing in the subtle body, and the same one that's in the outer world, you're believing that that's the guru separate and apart from, who's going to impart knowledge to you, only because you believe you're a body and a separate individual. Once you know yourself in a real sense, that won't make sense. And that's what we've been talking about. As you get deeper and deeper and deeper in your selfless self, the truth is you are the projector of the world, and you will turn up these experiences based on your earnestness, and you'll have the courage arise spontaneously in the moment to move forward as this scene is being turned up, as the heat's being turned up. And see, if you're not turning up the heat, then you're not progressing. It's like going up a down escalator, and you're just going down, 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 take one step and going down, 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 and no progress whatsoever in your own spirituality, because you're not fighting those progressive steps. You're not moving through with courage. Just as I mentioned the food poisoning, you're giving up. You're putting back on the Red Rocks beads and saying, okay, I'm going to listen to Master, but I can't take these beads off. I've created a concept now and a block for myself. I'm stuck here. And I've told myself, both inner and outer, that I'm stuck here. And it will take some time then before the courage comes for another situation to come, because it's going to continue. If you're not surrendering to your selfless self now, as you're progressively going deeper and deeper within yourself, then you're stalling yourself. And yes, when it talks about the inner guru, once selfless self begins to wake and see through the layers of illusion, of course it's going to want to burn the house down, because it understands, there's an understanding that it's not real, that you are the reality, and these things that are appearing on you, they have to be shaken off like a dog shakes off fleas. He doesn't ask what's going to happen to the fleas as they're flying off and hitting in the water, or whether they're going to fly off and be smashed. It's shaking off the fleas. You're shaking off. Like Maharaj says, the antivirus software, the mantra is shaking up the building and telling the tenants, get out now. We are going to make this atmosphere extremely uncomfortable for mind, ego, intellect, because as you're using mantra and going deeper and deeper, want this. And then as it clicks, you won't care if this body is here or not here. You remain with your selfless self. Yes, it becomes violent because you're projecting your experience based on your concepts and beliefs you're holding about yourself, is how you're viewing and perceiving the reality that's being projected from and on your selfless self. And when you're projecting and believing yourself to be a body, you see other bodies, and you want to gain something from those bodies. That's why, like Maharaj says, those who are asking for money and donations and all that, they're no way in life their selfless self and speaking from that state. It cannot be, because you can't see another person as something that you could get something from, because all of it's appearing inside you. Just as if you were the dreamer, seeing around you the entire dream world, would you go around from place to place knowing you're the dreamer, knowing it's a dream, but the others in the dream don't know it's a dream, it's your dream, and you go around and ask them for money, or to sign their houses over, or to do some kind of stupid thing? You wouldn't want anything from anyone, because it's not the reality. When you wake up, it's all gone. Whoop! And when this body leaves, it's all gone. All the manifestation and everything in it is gone. Whoop! Just like that. And you're back to your natural state before the disturbance arose that you believed you were something other, and that there was something other than yourself.
What about the reality of the body, though?
The reality of the body is not reality. Reality is that the body is a conglomeration of the 5 elements that sits in a womb, and then you recognize, oh, I'm this body, because that sense of you are connects and clicks with the body, like Maharaj has talked about. Spirit clicks with the body and you say I. However, just like this space in this room is super intelligent and this is dead body, then it clicks. Oh, hello, where am I? As a child, where am I? Parents say, you're here. Your name is this. And you go throughout life and you start to do things and you think I'm doing good things and bad things, and ego is developed. And these actions I start to take credit for, and these are bad actions and these are good. But eventually you come to the end and you see your selfless self and you realize it was a dream. The body is a long dream. The world is a long dream. But I, the dreamer, am not in this. This is in myself. And when this, because the fearlessness is because this I am not. I never was and never can be. I was never born as a John Richards. There never was a John Richards. The world and all this is not, because there never was a this. And for a time, there's the belief in this, there's the appearance in the nothing. So I use this body form in the appearance, just like I would use the dream body in a dream. But once I know myself as the dreamer, then I know, okay, when this dream is over, that's it, bye-bye. But I won't have any fear of that, because I know that I eternally am, even though I will not have anything to know that I am. I know I am using the body form in the illusory manifestation, so that I can know myself in a real sense, and whether the body's here or not, just doesn't make any difference.
Wouldn't you say it's pretty mysterious? That
Well, the time that it becomes terrifying is when Keith is on his deathbed and starts to think, you know, my son or my girlfriend, or what's going to happen to them? Did I leave enough money? All this is because you believe that you are, and you are actually dying, and that you ever were, but you never were, so don't worry about these things. When you're leaving the body, it should just be breathing in, breathing out, enjoying mantra, body's falling apart, but I am not this body. Breathing in, enjoying mantra, and you don't even know. You won't know your existence, whether you exist or you don't exist. Just like it tonight, if you were to go to sleep and never wake up again, well, okay. The body's going to finish. This is guaranteed. But the holder of the body never was going to finish, because never really did anything other than hold a body for a brief time. And with mind, ego, intellect, created a manifestation and a belief of someone in a world, doing things, working hard and having retirement homes and doing very good, saving 401k, and now is sick in a retirement home, and all my money's gone anyway. No matter how rich I am, when I go to the retirement home, I'm wasted because it's like $10,000 a day. So, shoot, okay, it's a dream.
So what I'm saying is mysterious is that it takes the form, that it seems to take the form that it seems to take. I still can't figure out. It just seems
why spirit clicks with the body, who knows? But once it does, then you come to yourself in the form of master, in the form of some kind of spiritual knowledge. Once it wakes up in you, yes, I want to know myself. Then, like you were speaking about, and there's like Advaita Maharaj saying, the outer guru, you go to Sri Ramakant Maharaj with the idea of surrendering to this outer guru, who is actually the inner guru, because inner and outer are one and the same. And then you create a storyline for yourself in the projection of going to this guru who gives you a mantra, and the mantra then starts to erase everything that isn't real, everything that you are not. All the ideas, all the beliefs, all the concepts erased slowly, silently, and permanently.
And what I am and what the world appears to be, it's both. It's both a mystery and it's not a mystery because I know what it is. I mean, once I'm aware of what it is, that I am what I am, then it's not a mystery what I am. But it's also, but it is a mystery that I am at all.
Well, you are the presence that clicked with the body, that began to know itself through body form as a sense of presence. But you were there prior to clicking with the body so that you could click with the body. If you weren't there, then there'd be no click with the body. So you click with the body and you know yourself in a real sense using the body. So when this body unclicks, so to speak, the presence that was always there just for a time appeared and knew yourself. And now you'll go back to all and everything not knowing yourself. Because there's nothing else to know and no instrument to use to know it.
One thing I'm always concerned with, and that I guess I work at, is trying to figure out how, because I do get a sense of what the freedom from self is, and I want to share it. I want to figure out ways to communicate it, and you know, it's good. It's great to have you communicating it and revealing that it's like a whole different way of looking at our experience or our being. But I also want to, I have this desire in me to get others to loosen up their sense of what they think is real, because I know I have to loosen up my sense of what I think is real or valuable. And I try to present that to them and get them to question their usual sense of what is valuable and real.
I would say know yourself in a real sense first, completely and totally. Then you know that there are no others. And then in mantra and remaining with yourself, the self, others will come to you. Because again, the whole world is projected on your spontaneous presence. And once you know yourself in a real sense, you know yourself in a real sense, and you will bring other forms of yourself, like with Maharaj, there will be an attraction.
And just as we are attracted to you.
Happens spontaneously and naturally. That's the most beautiful thing, because there are so many people who say, I would like to teach this, or I would like to help others do this and this and that. Number one, when you know yourself in a real sense, there absolutely are no others. Whether the world realizes itself or not, who cares? Okay, it's nice. Like Maharaj says, it's your duty now to share the knowledge. From that spontaneous existence, this will occur. But see, if you have the idea that you're sharing knowledge, number one, it comes across. You can tell when there's a thought process going on and there's concepts being built and what the concepts are that are being believed in the moment as they're spoken. Conceptlessness, as Maharaj talks about, speaking from the bottom of reality, is just speaking. There's really no idea whether I'm sitting here saying that lollipops are wonderful and I love eating lollipops. I don't know what's going to be spoken until I'm hearing the speaker speaking it. That's the spontaneity. And you're just here. You're not preparing for anything. You're not, even when out in places, and sometimes it comes about where people will start speaking and the speaking will happen, and it'll happen at the level of the understanding that's occurring at the time. But that's spontaneous. Now, prior to going to Maharaj, I listened to Mooji, and I really did try to sell others on these ideas that I was beginning to understand and believe in. That's the funny part, because knowing yourself in a real sense, now you know that the other person is your own self, and behind their eyes and ears is the invisible, anonymous, unidentified identity that you are, that is listening to you, pretending to speak about knowing the reality. That's kind of a funny thing, because It's you. You know what I'm saying? And when you are free of you, you can speak freely and cleanly to you in another form because you know it's yourself. And the cool thing about that is the selfless self in the other form, just like right now they're speaking. If there's any kind of egoistical type thing here, then in the minds of all the different selfless self, there will be the filtration of, oh yeah, you know, he thinks this or this. And then you will start to feel that because your mind will start to begin to work about how you're presenting to another mind. See, this is just speaking in air. Literally, like if there was no thing here and you're just speaking to yourself. And there's no trying to convey anything. When a question comes or when something comes, a response comes. That's it. Or it doesn't. Sometimes it's just sitting. Just nothing. No response, no nothing. Okay. And then other times there's like, oh yeah, blah. And that's it. Because there's no sense of a self here. There's no mind interpreting what other people are thinking or what they're doing. When this turns off tonight, there will be no process I hope this was a good session. It's not like that. You see, it's just not. It's fun. It's entertainment. It's just speaking and listening, speaking and listening.
It's empty, but we can turn it into something.
The whole idea really is to listen to, as Maharaj says, the conveyance. Because the conveyance is selfless self is speaking to itself.
I can feel myself. I can feel myself.
Yes. And you're paying attention to yourself as you're speaking to yourself in another form. And the mind is being cleaned because there's no mind, no ego, no intellect. It's just speaking, speaking, speaking. So the recognition and the projection is so my presence is in everything. I'm sensing that the listener and the speaker are one and the same. That's why Maharaj says there's no master, no disciple, no God, no Brahman, no Paramatman, no, nothing is there except your selfless self.
It's mysterious.
And don't even see, given to mind to say mysterious, just as you are. As you are, completely as you are. Just, if at all you want to compare yourself to sky or space. Sky and space are everywhere. And like Maharaj uses the example of the sky, the walls in the ashram fall and the walls in the toilet fall. Does the space in the ashram go to heaven and the space in the toilet go to hell? The space is space. It never was separated. There was only the appearance for a time of separation. And the idea, some people will say like, oh, when you realize yourself in a real sense, then the world will disappear. You'll just be living in like the clouds or whatever. No, it's not true because the manifestation is still there. You are still in this, using this body form. But now the body becomes an instrument. Sans mind, ego, intellect. Except as instruments, if you need, if I go to the grocery store, it's $4 for $5, or, $1.80 a piece. I said, well, that's mind. Yes, you have to sit and kind of calculate, okay. But that's not mind in the psychological, egoistic sense of using mind. Mind is just the instrument. And even the subtle body with the thoughts. Like Maharaj says, good thoughts come, bad thoughts come. Which thought to choose to accept is up to you. Water, I'm thirsty. I need water. Thought. Ego implements action, but now it's finished. I'm not thinking about all day long how much water I had to drink and is it healthy or none of this kind of stuff.
Well, for the body's sake, it sort of has to do that. Like if you are not getting enough water, the body has to deal with the fact that it has to get more water. But
true. Well, and Siddharameshwar Maharaj in Master of Self-Realization talks about that. I'm sure you've heard when he says the self sits down to eat the meal. The self sees the wife come to the table. The self cuts the meat, chews the meat. The self tastes the meat. The self looks at wife sternly and shakes finger and puts more salt on the meat. So just like Siddharmeshwara Maharaj talks about the self that has every vehicle imaginable to it, every hotel in the world, all luxuries in the world are available to the selfless self. Every form of transportation is immediately available. Every plane is immediately available. Hotels, the most luxurious, because the self, all in this manifestation, is laying its head down on the soft pillow, is walking to the market and choosing just the right vegetables. And all of this, because it's you, it's all you, it's only you, just as if you're dreaming and all of this dream is being projected from. But again, the dream is short. The dream that we dream is short, although it appears long sometimes in the dream. But you wake up and then you believe yourself separate and apart from dream state and waking state. And yet the selfless self that you are, that's also dreaming state and waking state, will wake up from these states that have appeared on your spontaneous presence that you are not. And it's all just a fun. Be happy, 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 happy. Like Maharaj says, be happy, make others happy. Be realized, help others to realize. Be normal, be simple, be humble, be always with you. Be always with you. Don't give yourself away to worldly illusions that seem to be real in the moment. Remain with your selfless self. You are the most value. You have the highest value. Don't give yourself away for false trinkets. Keep to yourself. When I say false trinkets, traffic, that's a false trinket that you can remove your sense of just remaining with yourself, become irritated, maybe even do some screaming in your car or cursing in your car. But remaining with yourself would be an experience of just remaining with myself. I don't notice the traffic. I'm not taking the touch of the traffic. You just don't take the touch. You remain with your selfless self. And then, like we said, and like you read from the book, then you turn up the heat. Okay, remaining with your selfless self in the traffic, remaining with your selfless self in the line, remaining with your selfless self in the store where there's just people everywhere. You remain with your selfless self. Then you manifest in your experience that the clerk is very rude. You remain with your selfless self, because when there's no you are, there isn't them. It's just flowing. There's no I am to get upset. I remain with my selfless self. And when I do get upset, I know that just for a brief time, I took the touch that this that I'm seeing is real rather than the seer. So I have to remind myself with mantra, remain with my selfless self. That's it. Nisargadatta Maharaj says the highest worship is to remain in the waking state without thought. How do you remain in the waking state without thought? Because there's no you are. The sense of existence, just I, moving about, creating these manifested experiences with no ideas and beliefs and concepts, and having the courage in the moment.
10 minutes or so.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Sounds like you have a visitor there, Keith.
Yeah, I thought I'd come back. But yeah, as for what you're saying, usually I feel like I have to train myself to decide whether anything makes a difference or not. It's like
Nothing makes a difference. Remain with yourself as self, and then there will be no difference because there is no you, so there can't be a separation
right, it
from
just
yourself.
won't even be an issue. Won't even be an issue.
Exactly. That's the most fun, is that when you remain with yourself as self, the world and all these things, you don't take the touch. So you remain with yourself as self, and you'll see whatever is happening in the moment is happening and passing. No disturbance. Absolute peace. Because there's no disturber of the peace, because you haven't created a disturber of the peace on that sense of I am. Just keep with the, like Maharaj says, keep going. Forget about it. You still here, do your job, doing your duties, but remain with yourself as self. That's something that you hear a lot on the ashram. People come and they ask, how long do we do meditation? The idea is that you're never out of meditation, because meditation is remaining with yourself as self, concentrating on the concentrator, meditating on the meditator. How long are you doing meditation? Until something that you believe could be real, you take the touch of, and a disturbance is created because there's an I am disturbed. How long do you remain in meditation? You're outside of time, because if you don't take the touch of the outside world, you remain with yourself as self. Therefore, there is no time for meditation, because there's even meditation as a concept where there had to be a meditator, and even that has dissolved. Be happy, happy, happy. Nothing disturbs. And even happiness and unhappiness, they appear on your spontaneous presence. When these, and remember, this is very important too, the 5 elemental body, which is thoughts and such, can create a disturbance like I am depressed, or I am this, or I am that, or this is happening, I should stop. No, because remember, Master has said this is a 5 elemental body. Just like the sky, the elements in the sky, sometimes cloudy, sometimes sunny, sometimes thunder and lightning and wind and all of that, but that's a disturbance in the 5 elements. Because this body belongs to the 5 elements, there could be a disturbance in that body, which, because there is a mind still, even though it's silent and it's arising in your spontaneous presence, this mind could present to you, the selfless self, information about why the disturbance in the 5 elements is occurring, because it creates an I am somebody else who is disturbed. See through all of this, remaining with your selfless self, just like the sun, behind the clouds, behind the wind, behind the lightning. The sun never goes away. Like, we have a very cloudy day, even at nighttime. The sun is. It's not here, but it's always there. You are always there. Underneath all the concepts and the illusory concepts and all the nonsense, you are.
You are the source of the light of the sun, kind of.
Yes. Without your presence, there's no sun. All of this world is only for a time. It's the appearance in the nothing. Know yourself in a real sense, and whether there's an appearance or not, you are. Whether you know yourself or not, you are. Once that spontaneous conviction has happened, oh, so that I doesn't go anywhere, because that I is everywhere. It's everything and nothing in everything. It's the background. That spontaneous presence is the background upon which everything arises. So anything that's arising, you just keep going until you remain with yourself with self. And still, like Trish has the cat. The cat jumps up, wants food. It's not like Trish says, no, I'm remaining with myself with self. No food for you today, because I'm just remaining. You could create a disturbance. It's like, it's just spontaneous. Okay, cat is here, wants food. Let's give the cat food. And just like drinking the water, there's no like big show about it. There's no need to take the touch of giving the cat food. It's just a spontaneous action.
No pressing matters, huh?
No pressing matters. Even the pressing matters that are believed are pressing matters are not pressing matters because nothing's happening. Just like in the dream. You could be driving to work and they're robbing a bank and you're stuck and bullets are shooting through your car. But it's the dream. And you know yourself as the dreamer. Okay, this is happening, but nothing's happening. Because everything is contained in the bubble of illusion. And this bubble of illusion is appearing on your spontaneous presence. Without your presence, there is no bubble. There is no nothing. And your presence clicked with the body. Therefore, you are prior to the body. You click with the body. If you unclick with the body, so to speak, the body falls, you still are because you're the presence that clicked with the body to know yourself in a real sense anyway.
So I don't have to give my reality to the body.
It's the body's reality. It's the body, the dreamer. It's nothing to do with you. And this can be quickly checked by formlessness. It appears real. But when you remain, see, that's the thing. If you remain, like we talked about, you shut your eyes, you can still see. Remain there when your eyes are open. Remain with that seer. The scenes are passing. Don't take the touch. Be there in the moment, scene passes. Be there in the moment, scene passes. Something good happens, something bad happens, nothing is happening. Because there's no doer, there's no deed. Because the formlessness can only do anything through the form, and the form is like the dream where nothing is actually real. Nothing is happening. Nothing has happened and nothing ever will happen. You've never left yourself. How? You're this. So you never left. When the body falls, you never left. When the body is born, you never left. You can't go anywhere. You're all things, everything, all is within inside yourself, the self. Stop identifying with the body. Stop believing yourself to be a body, and you'll have your formless existence using the body form. But you don't have to take the touch of what the body form is going through. It's like you're just sitting at home playing a video game, in a way. Don't use that as a concept, but it's very similar like this. You're, okay, I'm using this body to do this, to do that. Like we talked about, take the water, I'm thirsty. It's time to go to bed. Okay, I go to bed, I sleep. Oh, I wake up, I go to work, I do this, I do this.
Taking the game to be real is the kind of like one of the first steps into illusion.
Exactly. And that's how we talked about how King's Dominion, that was such a beautiful example. Because King's Dominion created something, my son was crazy, terrified actually. They created something so terrifying only because they were able to suck you in and make you believe that the illusion was reality, that you were actually in danger. And in order to, I mean, you can't be. If somebody came at me with an axe and chopped me on Halloween night, I'm going to sue and own King's Dominion. You know what I'm saying? But the concept of the belief that something could actually happen was terrifying. And I was able to buy into their illusion, lose my sense of reality, and only see their illusion. And their illusion appeared and was replaced as my reality. And the same is being done every day.
That's a great example.
So the whole life is an amusement park.
Yeah, basically. Enjoy. Be happy. Happy, 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 happy. And anything that allows the disturbance to come, just shut it off. Because, you know, we were talking about in the beginning about the TV and the news. Okay, it starts to disturb, shut it off. Remain with myself with self. Turn to a happy channel. You know, go watch reruns of some comedy.
Sesame Street.
Yeah, go watch Sesame Street.
Or watch nothing.
Remain with your selfless self. All of this is in the illusory world. And it's only there to distract you from yourself. Just like the entire world is an amusement park, don't go on any of the rides. And if you're going on the rides, remember you're in an amusement park. I think, what's his name? Bill somebody or other. It just came like, it's just a ride. There was some guy, some comedian who talks about, you know, up and down and everything. It appears to be real for a time, but remember, it's just a ride. The entire world is an amusement park for your entertainment, but don't take the touch.
Well, it's very tricky when you think you can get something out of like doing certain things like pleasures. It's you're putting yourself in a dangerous situation when you do that.
Well, you're taking the ride of pain and pleasure. If you're going after pleasure in the illusion can produce a sense of pleasure for you, the selfless self, but that comes along with the pain principle because you're taking the ride of illusion.
That's the danger.
Yeah, don't take it. The illusion has nothing I want. What could I possibly want in the illusion? And truly, as the selfless self, as you remain with your selfless self, you will see that the illusion is quite happily furnished for you. That your little private illusion is happily furnished without you needing to want or desire anything. It's only when there's a sense of you, a sense of I am somebody else, I am in a world, therefore I want nothing. Because once you know yourself in a real sense, what could you possibly want in the form world, you being the formlessness? Even think about in TV shows how they show ghosts. When they go to reach for a computer or something, their hand goes through it. Well, now amplify that as selfless self, desiring anything in the form world. Nothing's real until you believe it into existence as being real. And once you believe it, you've created an I am somebody else that believes there's something that I want, that I need to do something to get, which allows the mind to say, oh, we're not getting it, or oh, it looks like we are getting it. And that's just, woof. Take the ride, don't take the touch. Remain with your selfless self, because the amusement park is there for you to keep with your selfless self regardless of what's going on. And then you can take the ride remaining as your selfless self. Do your job, do your duties, do everything. Somebody asks, how many hours a day do you meditate? That won't even make sense. Why am I going to separate myself as an I am somebody else who's created the idea of meditating? No, I remain with my selfless self. When I remain with my selfless self, I'm outside of time. So the question of a meditator in time, I'm sorry, that does not really make sense. I understand what you're trying to say using words in the body knowledge that you're speaking from, but that doesn't make sense to the selfless self that you are. Oh, it's 8:16. Speaking of time, I just noticed the clock over there.
Okay.
8:23 here.
Oh, 8:23. Oh, okay.
You go.
Okay.
That's because you're outside of time.
Indeed. All right. Well, everybody enjoy your evening.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, John.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.